You know that moment when your computer feels a little off? Not broken, not crashing, just slightly wrong. You open a file, it takes a second longer than it used to. You switch between apps and there's this tiny hesitation, and you sit there thinking, this used to be faster. And almost instantly, your brain jumps to the same conclusion. I probably need an upgrade. More RAM, better CPU, faster storage. That's the default answer. That's what we've all been trained to believe. But here's the uncomfortable part. Most of the time, that assumption is wrong. Look, I'm going to be direct with you. Your computer is hiding things from you. Not in some mysterious or malicious way, but in how it actually operates. There are processes, decisions, and background behaviors happening constantly that you never see. And those hidden mechanisms are often the real reason your system feels slow, inconsistent, or just off. Here's the thing. Modern computers are incredibly powerful. Even mid-range systems today can handle workloads that would have been considered high-end just a few years ago. And yet, studies from companies like Microsoft and Intel consistently show that the average user rarely pushes their CPU beyond 30–40% during normal use. Think about that for a second. More than half of your system's power is sitting unused most of the time. So if your PC feels slow, but it's not even working that hard, what's actually happening? The answer isn't raw power, it's behavior. Imagine your computer like a highway. When everything flows smoothly, even moderate traffic feels fast. But if there are constant interruptions, cars braking randomly, merging poorly, stopping unexpectedly, the entire experience feels slow, even if the road itself is perfectly capable of handling more. That's exactly what's happening inside your PC. One of the biggest hidden factors is background activity. You close an app and assume it's gone, but it's not. Many applications continue running quietly, checking for updates, syncing data, maintaining services. Data from companies like Google and Apple shows that background activity makes up a significant portion of system usage, even when your PC appears idle. And here's where it gets interesting. It's not the amount of work that causes problems, it's the timing. Your system is constantly scheduling tasks, deciding what runs and when. And those decisions aren't always optimized for how performance feels. Tiny interruptions, just milliseconds, can break responsiveness. And your brain notices that immediately. That's why your PC can feel slow even when usage looks low. Another thing people misunderstand is memory. You open Task Manager, see high RAM usage, and assume something's wrong. But modern operating systems are designed to use memory aggressively. High usage isn't bad. Unused RAM is wasted RAM. The real issue only happens when your system runs out and has to fall back on slower storage. And that brings us to storage. SSDs are fast, but they're not instant. When your system is constantly reading and writing small bits of data, tiny delays start to stack up. And when your drive gets close to full, performance doesn't suddenly crash. It gradually becomes less responsive. Now let's talk about something people actively make worse without realizing it. Settings. We've been conditioned to believe that tweaking settings improves performance. Lower everything. Enable performance modes. Uncap everything. It feels like you're optimizing. But a lot of the time, you're introducing instability. When you push your system to its limit, you remove the buffer that keeps things smooth. It's like driving at full speed with no room to adjust. You might be fast, but you're not stable. That's why higher FPS doesn't always feel better. If your frame times are inconsistent, even high frame rates can feel stuttery. Benchmarks from organizations like AnandTech have shown that slightly lower but consistent performance often feels smoother than higher averages with fluctuations. Then there's startup behavior. Every time you install software, there's a chance it adds itself to startup. No warning, no clear explanation. So when your PC boots up, dozens of processes can launch at the same time. Game launchers, cloud services, update checkers. By the time you see your desktop, your system is already under load, and it doesn't stop there. Your browser is often the heaviest application you use. Tabs, extensions, background scripts, it all adds up. Even a handful of tabs can quietly consume resources and introduce interruptions. So here's the shift most people never make. Once you understand that your system is constantly juggling tasks, you stop thinking in terms of raw power and start thinking in terms of control, because that's what performance really is. Control over what runs, when it runs, and how it behaves. So what should you do? Start with your startup programs. Disable anything you don't need immediately. Simplify your environment. Close applications you're not actively using. Minimized doesn't mean inactive. Rethink your browser habits. Treat tabs like active processes, not bookmarks. Stop chasing maximum performance settings. Stability matters more than peak output. Give your system breathing room. And keep your storage clean. A cluttered system behaves unpredictably. Most importantly, pay attention to how your system feels, not just what the numbers say. Because here's the surprising part. When you fix these things, you're not unlocking hidden power. You're removing hidden resistance. The performance you thought you needed to upgrade for was already there. It was just being blocked. This is why so many people upgrade their PCs and feel underwhelmed. They bring the same habits, the same settings, the same background clutter onto better hardware and get the same result. Because the problem was never just the hardware, it was everything around it. So the next time your computer feels slow, don't jump straight to upgrading. Look at what's running, look at what's changed. Look at how your system is being used. Because once you understand the hidden behavior of your computer, something clicks and you start fixing the real problem. Your system doesn't just get faster, it feels right again.